Let's start.
Да.
Perfect. So, Vitalik, how do you think why should we discuss these personalities such as Socrates and Plato since more than 2000 years since they walked this earth?
First of all, hello. How are you?
I'm perfect.
Um, yeah, it's a good question, actually. It's a good question, and I think we can ask the same question: Why should we read? Why should we study history? Why
Hmm.
should we study poetry or literature? Which is what does it give it to us? Yeah, nowadays, what can we extract from it? And I think the question goes to if we look around ourselves, if we look around, let's say, to the cafes, to the parks, to the names of the cities, to the names of the streets, even the names of just human names,
Hmm.
they're all at least in the West, all we are surrounded by the Greek culture. We are surrounded by the same myth, by these philosophers, by their ideas. And even if we don't want to walk with them, nowadays, and we want to take
Hmm.
completely away all this heritage, I think we don't have any chance because it's with us. It's like we have these two legs, two hands, the same Plato and Aristoteles is he is with us. We cannot take him out from our culture because in some way, I guess he also shaped and gave and let's say not only shaped but at least structured and gave it gave it a form to the philosophical idea because of course Plato and himself he was not the first grand philosopher. It was a lot of philosophers. If we start from this Greek culture, uh, I would not say too much, uh, with this Thales,
Hmm.
because Greek philosophy starts from Thales, yeah, when he first mentioned when he discovered the comet. Some
Hmm.
of them they said it was bobsleigh comet or something, but and then was like a miracle for him. And then he started. This is like a date if you want to start when philosophy started in West. This is a date with this philosopher Thales when he first saw the comet and described it. And it was maybe like if I'm not sure with my math, maybe like 500 years before Plato. So.
Hmm. So it's around 1000 year before Common Era, approximately.
I think so, yeah. I mean, we last time you also remember we talked about it that Greek culture is quite young if we compare it to let's say Egyptian or Indian
Hmm.
culture, yeah. And it's quite young. So mhm.
Okay, yeah, like I am agree with you about the names, because even our names are coming from I mean, you and me, from the
Yeah,
Greece, and like our way of thinking, I think
yes,
for sure is structured and implemented, not implemented, influenced by these philosophers, yeah, and very deep um, level. So, in this context, which ideas we can attribute to the Socrates?
um
Or
I
if
would
you
say.
want, we can start with Thales because I do not know anything about him. If you can share anything about his ideas, we can yeah, discuss him and move to Socrates if you want.
It's unfortunately there is also some some it's like maybe you have like three or four sentences about
Hmm.
him. It's the same like about Parmenides,
Hmm.
one of the greatest also philosophers from the past, but we know about his greatness only because other philosophers used to refer to him. But um, what we have, it's so scarce. It's couple of
Mhm.
sentences and nothing more. We can try to reconstruct, but only using, let's say, the same dialogues of Plato.
Mhm.
For example, Parmenides, there is a whole dialogue which is dedicated to him, and we can say that maybe he taught this, that he taught about the unity. He was not. He was, there were two schools. One school was a school of atomists, the guys who were believing, like that you have these different atoms, and I forgot the name of what. Maybe you remind me this the name of this philosopher.
Was it
Democrit,
Heraclit?
Democrit,
Okay.
yes, Democrit. He was, we can call him father of this idea. And then you had the Parmenides school, which was teaching that no, there is no indefinite amount of things. There is only one unity. There is only one sphere. And they also say about that he wrote a very beautiful poem about this unity,
Mhm.
about this sphere that uh, and it starts that before I will tell you, it's not only a philosophical um, great philosophical work, but it's also very beautiful in itself, like a poetical work, because he writes there about how he approaches the door with the mystical door where all the secrets will start, and
Mhm.
this door is guarded by a beautiful goddess, and how others, this like nymphs also, because Parmenides describes himself there, that
Mhm.
that a lot of secrets were revealed to him. And I mean, it's a lot of things. I mean, it's another topic, yeah. Because I'm trying. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
going to another
it's
direction,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe we can discuss separately this
yeah,
dialogues of Plato. Yeah, because
yeah.
it's really interesting, and I think yeah, it's a whole another subject.
Yes, I'm sorry, yeah.
Oh no, that's interesting because I didn't know about this dialogue, and
It's
it's
one of the. It's They say it's one of the most difficult dialogues. One of this Parmenides because it's very. Um, I would call it syllogistic.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, it means that it goes like premises. Then from premises you have um, some conclusions, and then it goes like that, and it's very difficult to follow the line. I mean, yeah, to follow this
mm-hmm,
the thread of the conversation. Another thing, it's just a couple of funny facts from the history, that the dialogue starts that Parmenides comes to Athens together with his lover, you know,
mm-hmm,
and he was like 70, and I forgot his name of this guy, and he was like 40, and they were giving election. And Socrates was very young at the time. He is represented to us like a pupil, like he had like 20 years or something.
mm-hmm.
And he already at that time like read all these works of Parmenides, and he was talking with him like almost on par, or something. Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that he wrote the poems because from also the Vedic perspective, it's interesting to tell what the word rishi means because the rishi is the guys, sages who composed the Vedas and the other texts. But the semantics, the translation of the word rishi, it can be translated as a sage now. But in the 18th, 19th century, it was translated simply as a poet. And
Hmm.
from here we also can make the conclusion like in like simple symbolism of like one word that the because the Vedas is the highest wisdom, yeah, for example, of Hindu tradition, and we can say that the highest wisdom it could not be like approached in the plain text, but in the poetry, right?
Exactly.
You know.
The same happens with Plato, that any kind of topic which surpasses and transcends the common idea, let's say, which we can explain with words, he always recurs to the myth or to the legend or to the
Mhm.
analogy. So all the topics were quite obscure. He always uses the myth to try to explain himself because otherwise you cannot. You know, with a logical structured way, it's or at least. I have to mention one thing that all these dialogues Plato never pretended to pass his knowledge from using the dialogues only,
Mhm.
because the real knowledge only can be passed by the in the dialogue from the master to the pupil, yeah, in a real dialogue.
Mhm.
And dialects themselves, yeah, they can help. It's like homework, we can call it, at least in academy, yeah. They are written in a very peculiar way because you try to become a participator of the conversation. You are not a passive reader. You
Yeah,
try
yeah,
to be
exactly.
actively involved in the in the conversation. Yeah.
Perfect. So I think from this point we can move
Yeah.
to the Socrates, and I wrote it down,
Yes.
the name of the dialogue, Parmenides, and I think this is gonna be our next topic for discussion.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mhm.
like coming back to the initial question. So
Yes.
which ideas are relevant to Socrates? Which, if any, we can attribute to him and not to Plato, and even if it's possible or not.
Looks like it's difficult to discern between two of them, but we can say that Socrates was more an ethical figure. He was
Mm-hmm.
more concerned about morals of of his citizens, and it looks like he was not so he was not so deeply interested, let's say, in the higher material of like in the later dialogues of Plato, like sophist, yeah, or the politic politician, we can call it in English. Because normally they say that there were three dialogues, let's say three pearls, yeah, of his philosophy:
Mm-hmm.
the politician, then sophist, and should be written also for the philosopher. They're
Mm-hmm.
most difficult one. They're like the pinnacle of all his uh, of his
Politician, sophist, and the third one, which one?
philosopher.
And
But
how about
yeah,
Timaeus?
but philosopher, unfortunately, they say that it should have been written.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was lost. Maybe it was
Okay.
not. It was never written. But
Mm-hmm.
there should be revealed all the secrets because normally this politician and sophists, it's like one big dialogue which slowly goes from. It's like a continuous conversation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, coming back to your question, so Socrates, from my point of view, was more concerned with the morals about what is good, what is bad, what is beauty. Uh, Tried to show to his fellow citizens that they were full of some of them were quite full of vanity, and
Mm-hmm.
then Mm, yeah, so he himself actually he called himself like like a fly who is chasing during the summer night summer day the animals or the horses, this
Mm-hmm.
I don't know this English word, this fly like
The big
which
fly.
big fly, yes. So yeah. And especially we can straight away trace it from the uh, we can name it the first dialogue, or it's not even a dialogue. I would say it's like it's a speech. Yeah, it's a speech in
Mm-hmm.
a court, apology,
Yeah. Okay.
where uh, he names himself a guardian, let's say, of of the Athenian society. That his main task was going around the city, ask some funny questions of his friends, and not maybe so much friends. Later on, they have not they have ceased to be his friends, and showing them that in reality, uh, this idea, this mask, this picture of themselves, it's quite erroneous. Let's call it this way, yeah. And we know from this very famous um, like yeah joke that Socrates knows that he doesn't know anything, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a story, but he tells it himself that Oracle in Delphus was asked who is the most brilliant person, you know, and most who has the highest level of wisdom, and it was Socrates. This is Oracle told, and then he was thinking, why I am? I mean, I don't know anything, you know, and then exactly because he didn't know, because he thought he didn't know anything. That's why he was the smartest one. And then he says, I went to the artisans, yeah, to this guys who had some kind of office, like yeah, architects or um, seamen or you know pilots and so on, who profess some kind of art. Yeah, they knew about something about the art, but they didn't know anything about other, let's say, more abstract things. You know, what is beauty, for example, for them? Yeah, straight away people gave him answers like beauty is a beautiful woman. Yeah, and then he straight away gives you, okay, but if it's a beautiful woman, then goddess is more beautiful. So you already have it's not a definition per se. Yeah, it's like a first step to a definition. When you try to define something, you first look at around yourself and you try to compose an abstract idea from the things which surround you. Yeah, some yeah, like particular things, and then later on, step by step, you're noticing their common features, and you develop a proper definition. Yeah, normally this is like called the synthesis. Yeah, you have like the same in the same way works you know, any kind of science. And so people were you know uh, finally perplexed because they could not, they understood that this funny question, this very you know easy questions, and they could not form a proper answer. And of course, it's a lot of emotion. Why? I mean, I'm a chief of, you know, of this district. I'm a beautiful artist because yeah, if going by structure, yeah, let's say we will take a figure of Alcibiades. Let's say we will leave the apology. So we made reference that in apology, he tries to defend himself against the accusations of his uh, former interlocutors in his dialogues who were not so pleased with his you know, attitude to them, and they accused him that he corrupted young people, and then he didn't believe in the gods. And then all this discourse, then later on he shows them that not I believe in gods, and then not actually I'm trying to put um, our young people on a proper philosophical journey. And then another dialogue, I think, which is next step for anybody who is interested in Plato, is Alcibiades.
Mm-hmm.
I think you remember about him, yeah, something or not?
Not really. I remember the name, but I don't remember what actually the dialogue about.
Mhm. But it's a very interesting also point to underline that each person in the dialogue of Plato are real people.
Mm-hmm.
All of them existed, all of them lived with him, and even some of them say that they have shared the same character. So it was quite nicely pictured the character as well. So Alcibiades, this is a young guy which comes from a very, very famous, rich, and powerful family in Athens. So one of the aristocracy of the higher level. And this is, if we go back to the book of Thucydides, the Peloponnesian War,
Mm-hmm.
Thucydides says that Alcibiades was a reason that Athens actually uh, were, that they failed in this war with Spartanians.
Okay, this was the war with Spartanians.
Yes. This is if we just go a little, yeah, I will just remind that we had these wars with Persians. We
Mm-hmm.
had this Thermopylae, we had this Marathon battle, and so on. Then you have 70 years more or less of peace between because they are victorious. Athens and Sparta are growing in the power, and of course, conflict is inevitable. And then starts this conflict, which actually led to the that all Greek culture started to, just on his journey back to nothing. Let's go this way. Yeah, that it was
Can you remind what was the war about? Uh,
the war was the Peloponnesian War. First of all, Peloponnesian, yeah, because this is this Peloponnese. This is a district. This is a land. This province is called where Sparta was, and
mhm.
other. Um,
Maybe I will later find the picture and I can
yeah,
put here into the video.
the war started in this way because Athenians, they were. So let's go this way. That we have finished the war with the Persians. For this particular danger from the outside, all Greeks united themselves. So where
Yeah.
they were fighting together. The moment when this danger has passed, again, all Greeks divided into big camps, political camps. So you had Athenians and you had Spartans from the other side. Um, Athenians, they had the political structure of we will call them Republicans, but we can call them the Democrats, more or less. Yeah. So they had uh, s- let's call it Senate or Parliament. Yeah, and it was more or less a democracy, not in the way we understand, but the democracy which Greek culture brought to us.
Hmm.
At the same time, Spartanians, they were aristocracy. They were, we will call it, yeah, I would say like oligarchy mixed with aristocracy. And so it was completely two different political structures. And they cannot coexist, unfortunately, so nicely, yeah, because each time Athenians tried to put, let's say, party of this to put their own way of rule in the Athenians to the in the Spartanian cities, yeah, or at least those who belong to this orbit, who were in the orbit of Sparta. The same did, of course, Spartanians to the Athenians. Athenians also, during this war and during other 70 years, they have developed a perfect fleet. They became the best seamen, after Phoenicians, I would say, because Phoenicians, I think they had still the crown, but
Hmm.
uh, so they were everywhere. Athenians, they were in Crete, they were in Egypt, they were all around. They were in Odessa, so. They were complete rulers of the Mediterranean Sea. Spartanians did not. Spartanians, first of all, they had this their political, their political structure. These ilots, this tribe who was subjugated by them maybe like 3 or 4 centuries ago, and they were slaves.
Hmm.
And these ilots, they could not. Spartanians were very. uneager. They did not like to leave their own land, never, because whenever they went out of their land, there was always you know, a risk that these ilots would try to put a rebellion, to start a rebellion. So they could not be nice seamen. Later on, they became actually. Anyway, this war lasted around, if I'm not mistaken, the first part lasted around 30 years. Then it was a peace, which was actually in the favor of Athenians. And then comes a point when Athenians decide to invade Sicily. It's like Napoleon with his idea to conquer Egypt in order to get a victory of England. It's like the same there. There's nothing to do because Sicily was neutral at that time. But no, we should invade it. And one of the guys who was um, perpetuator, yeah, who was trying to promote this campaign was Alcibiades because he was young, ambitious, he wanted a lot of fame. And then when they came to Sicilia, it was the greatest defeats that Athenian. This is decided the war because they have put like maybe more than 100 ships with the best citizens there.
Hmm.
Alcibiades was one of these chieftains. I would not go into details how this campaign went, why it was so disastrous. But the funny
Yeah,
thing,
it's
uh
interesting actually. You can go
yeah.
on.
But the funny thing that this Alcibiades, he changed his mind. But the moment he was, because he was, the moment he sailed away, there was this political game like we have in our countries nowadays. He was right away accused of that he didn't that he, again the same like Socrates, that he was of some impiety against gods.
Hmm.
So but because he was a chieftain, they could not prosecute him. The moment he sailed away, somehow they changed the law or something, and they called him back to Athens and told him that you have to go to the court. Of course, that was very dangerous for him. So he changed cities. Let's go, and he became a very nice uh, Spartanian and gave a lot of secrets to the Spartanians, and it's one of the reasons was also why they lost there. So I would like to show this that if you read this dialogue of Plato Alcibiades and then
Hmm.
read later on the war of the Peloponnesian War, Mamma Mia, you would see a lot of connection there because in this dialogue he pictures a young man who wants to give discourses in a parliament. Um, he wants to be honored. He wants fame. He wants like any young man wants in our life, let's say. And then Socrates asks him, okay, you want to rule others, but can you rule yourself? Can you command your own desires? And what about your soul? And he says, what about my soul? Yeah, do you take care of your soul? Oh yeah, should I? Yes, you should, and then it goes yeah.
Very actually also like Hindu way of thinking because you can always like read in Indian epos like same kind of things which like sage tells to the king first of all, yeah, to rule
Yeah,
himself at the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah. And yeah, it goes, even if you look at this, mm, I always like this example. That's why I like this movie, this Gladiator. When Marcus Aurelius asks Maximus, yeah, Maximum, you should be an emperor. He says, I don't want to be an emperor. And he says, exactly because of this, you have to be an emperor. And then later on, this is also this Plato um, also tries to underline it specifically that only a person who doesn't have ambition to rule should rule. Unfortunately, it's different. Yeah, ambition. Normally, ambitious person become if it's a captain or it's a manager or who wants to rule, who wants to have power. Normally, they come to the pinnacle of social structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Um, so shall we move to a Plato or yeah, actually I want to come back a little bit to the apology and ask one question. Why do you think the Athenians accused Socrates that he didn't believe in gods? So
Well,
why?
he, uh-huh.
Mhm. Yeah, like let's like answer this question first and
Um, no, first of all, not Athenians. Yeah, they had. I remember one name. It was Mileto, and then it was another accuser. There were two of them. So they accused him that he was teaching the work actually of Democritus. We had mentioned it today
Mhm.
before.
Okay.
But it's a very I would say ingenious commentary which Socrates gave himself. He says that yeah, you accuse me about I'm teaching about some spheres of that sun is not a god. Yeah, that sun is some it's a yeah planet. But he didn't call it a planet, but something more physical. Yeah, of
Mhm.
his physical properties. But he says that then you have to go into the library and just accuse this librarian because this book can be bought by for 3 drachmas. I don't know what kind of they had at that time. I read Democritus and just try to spread his ideas and that's all. You have
Mhm.
to burn all the books there later on. And of course, other thing that he says later on in the apology, he also puts attention to it that I believe in God even more than others because I follow my personal God. And here we have to pay attention because uh, daimon or demon in our understanding now it was changed the connotation was changed later on by Christianity, but originally demon or daimon means means a spirit which is between the gods and the human being. And this daimon, he actually, it's also a nice myth that this is also a creature, kind of a humanoid,
Mhm.
who used to live during the golden age because we are the men of iron. Yeah, we are like the worst thing which can actually be designed. So these creatures who lived during the age of gold, they were they were not mortal, but they were not immortals. They are something in the middle. So later
Mhm.
on, they converted themselves to the diamonds. So Socrates listens to his diamond, and this diamond is a creature of God, not of God. It's also kind of a higher spirit. Let's call it this way. Some of them say that this diamond is his consciousness or his let's call it if you want to this Jungian flavor in this discussion. Yeah, somebody can that this is his his how you call it this
Self,
myself. Yeah,
self, yeah.
yeah, the
Self is
self.
the archetype of wholeness in
Yeah,
Jan model.
yeah. So some of they say that this consciousness of Socrates, which he refers to, is exactly this self. He was listening to his self.
Mhm.
That's why he accepted this his sentence of his death sentence also quite easily because this is was following his way, following his camino to
Mhm.
Santiago. Yeah, and because you see other dialogue, Phaedon or Criton, where Criton actually he offers him that yeah, please we can arrange your escape, But he says, I have been living in this city for so many years. I've been following all, and I've been teaching my pupils that they have to follow the laws, that they have to be, they need to have certain moral um, behavior. And I would leave it, I would flee in the last moment. I cannot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is actually, like in my opinion, why, or maybe Plato like creates such a story, or maybe it really influenced him. But anyway, what we can tell from this dialogue is that, like Phaedon and Criton, that Socrates is showing an example, and that's why it's like is such an inspiring figure, at least in this dialogue for his pupils, that he is taking his fate so easily. And yeah, because I think it's not easy, like at least for us, for our culture, to take like this, and the things are different, of course, now. But anyway, it's not easy to accept such a sentence, and Socrates do it very easily, and that's why it makes him an interesting figure, I think.
Yeah, you can draw also parallels, let's say, with another great philosopher God, yeah, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
These two episodes are very similar in a lot of ways because you can have with Jesus the final dinner, or how you could, yeah, then La
Yeah,
Noche Buena, yeah, with his disciples, and you have the same with Socrates with his friends in dialogue Phaedon. Another point, of course, both of them die, and both of them die. That's why they're inscribed in history. Yeah, because of this fact.
yeah,
But there is also a big difference, I would say, because Socrates is dying with a smile. Phaedon is trying to show and to convince the reader that philosopher that first of all that there is nothing to be afraid to die, because it's stupid to be afraid of die, because you don't know what is there. Maybe
yeah,
it's
that's true.
the best experience you can only have in your life, and like Egyptians, all their lives, all this the book of the dead. This life is preparation of the to enter in another
Same
reality.
like
Yeah,
same like the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
yeah, exactly. So another point that, and then here comes the first. Here comes also whatever you talk about Plato and Socrates is always the first. Always, it's a first social contract. It's a first division of work. It's the first ideas of cosmography. Everything is the first. The same here. The first proof that the soul is immortal. Also there, yeah. Coming back later on, we can mention it if we mention his eidoses, yeah, the
Yeah.
ideas, yeah. But an interesting point, if you go back a little bit to scriptures, before his death, Jesus goes to this Gethsemane, to this garden, and he has also conversation with God or with himself. That he has this, mm, let's say, a moment of hesitation. All his pupils are sleeping at this point. Yeah, they always sleep, master, or whatever. When there is this decisive moment in your life, everybody is going to sleep because this is your moment. Yes, and also it also shows that this journey to another life is you have wife, you have kids, mama, papa, but it would not help you in the last
Yeah.
moment. You're always alone, and you would die
True.
alone. Yeah. And he has the moment of hesitation. He says, "Why should I take this?" Again, we can go back to self. Yeah, why should I take this burden on myself? The same, but you see, and so we see that the figure of Jesus there is a little bit more closer to us as a person. He is much more. Because Socrates is a little bit idealistic there. Yeah, he is like an old man, uh, still has the power, yeah, because 70 years, and it mentions in this dialogue that he had a child of 9 months, so it's not so not so old. Let's go this way, yeah. But and the thing is also that um, that there is no treachery, yeah, that none of his disciples actually uh, betrayed him. But I would also recommend here in this context, just to mention, Borges. Borges has a very nice story, short one, maybe 5 pages. I forgot the name, but we can maybe in description later on to
Mhm.
just to mention it. He tells a story about the Judas, yeah, about the disciple who is the
Yeah.
greatest traitor of the world, yeah, let's say of the whole history of the humankind. Maybe after Brutus, of course, or before Brutus, I don't know. But Borges tries to inverse the story, and he says that Judas actually he is the greatest pupil. He is the most, let's say, uh, I mean, I want to say that until the last moment, he was loyal to his teacher.
Hmm.
Why? Because to perpetuate in the history, he should have committed the worst sin in the world to betray his teacher. And he knew that he cannot go back to, let's say, to heaven and so on. So, but somebody had to do it.
Yeah, that's also what I was thinking. Like, really,
Yeah,
somebody had to do it. So we
yeah.
know the
And he did
Jesus.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, and he did it. So, yeah. So different things to how in a different ways we can interpret it. Yeah, that's why it's so polyphacetic. Yeah.
If Socrates was caring for the morals of his fellow citizens, again, why the Athenians would, because we mentioned about the gods, and like the same question about the accusation, why about the morals if like he was telling that he was actually caring about the morals?
Yeah, I think here is more easier to answer because when your mom says to you that you are a bad person, you want to, or if you say to somebody the truth and you do not accept it, and of course, first of all is aggression. Yeah, you want to you uh, viciously want to protect this image of yourself
Mm-hmm.
that everything is okay. I'm a good person. I'm very smart and so on. When somebody shows you that you are not, of course, a normal human reaction is right, okay, I will take a stick and I will teach you a lesson. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Like from again Jungian psychology, we know that if you like tell somebody, let's say, in the front, like most likely you only what you can evoke is the defense mechanism of the ego,
yeah.
and that's what we actually maybe can see in this dialogue, which is apology, right?
I mean, it's an interesting question because normally they also say that, you see this, you know, bad things in other persons only when they are somehow in yourself, huh? That normally you notice them, all these small, nasty things because they provoke something in you. So we don't know. Maybe he was full of shit as well. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm also thinking that at that time, like we know that persona is mask, yeah, from
Yes.
Greek, but also like during the time, most likely people didn't know that like about that they had because they had the gods and maybe they didn't realize that their psyche, yeah, is also consists of many kinds of personalities, right? Because like we and even now we present some mask to the society, and we think that this is I, and this is on this mask what we present, this is the only one persona, but in reality we have many. And when maybe Socrates was accusing them, people maybe couldn't think that way, that okay, maybe I have let's say different facets of me, you know, which I can consider, or which I need to discover, or which I need to reflect upon. So this was like very direct. If you say like this to me, so the person which was accused takes this literally 100%, and this evokes
Yeah.
like aggression and all
Hmm.
kind of things.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Um, so telling all this about the Socrates, how do you think which ideas of him or his way of thinking we can implement in our life today, if any?
Oh, we can implement. We can just take it as a manual and start implementing it starting from now. Yeah. Um,
You can tell them 10 steps. I will write it down for the manual.
yeah, 10 steps. Yeah. No, first of all, I think the art of to listen and the art to speak. Yeah. And that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things can be solved, especially psychological things, in a honest uh, person-to-person dialogue. This, if you use this art of dialectic. When
Mm-hmm.
one person, trust the other person and step by step they're in the conversation they're following, they would find something completely new because some of the, uh, yeah, I would say that dialogues actually, our culture is structured this way, yeah, because you can be spiritually enlightened, but then all of them, the spiritually enlightened persons, they come down and they tell in the dialogue with the mob what ideas they have. Yeah, yeah. Ideas should be given to another person. It should be, from generation to generation. Yeah. So I think first
Mm-hmm.
of all, it's to come back to the uh, to a- to a, mm, to a dialogue to dialogues which have sense. I'm not talking about philosophy, talking about, what is monada. It's interesting stuff also, but more, I would say, how would call it, person to person, yeah, to see the individuality in other person and try to talk of the relevant things. Of course, we have practice,
Mm-hmm.
we have to talk about work, but most of the time we don't have these conversations, unfortunately. But conversation is curing, and I think this psychoanalysis started also with Plato, because all these dialogues they are full of psychoanalysis, and he's actually making psychoanalysis of guys. This is exactly a session.
Yeah,
Another thing.
that's true.
Mhm.
Sorry, I just want to mention that it's true because, like Jung, again, he took the idea of archetypes, also not took, but he like refined, I would say, the idea of archetypes from the Plato's idea of Eidos, right?
Yeah, I think one of the inspirations, I think, was that. Yeah, and what else? What idea we can implement? Of course, I mean, if you want to have a proper personality or country, we can go back to the Republic, and there we have a full step-by-step instruction how to make a nice personality and a nice government.
But this is about the Plato, but the question was about the Socrates.
Ah, Socrates. You see, these
Yeah.
two persons are already have fusion together.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, that it's difficult because when we talk about Socrates, because Socrates didn't leave anything written,
Mm-hmm.
and there are other like other pupils which also wrote about him, but anyway, we are coming back to the ideas of Plato, and we don't know actually what is his idea or what he put in his mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Socrates is the main character in of the Republic, so maybe half of these ideas was his. Who knows? Yeah. So
Okay, so in this case, maybe we can talk a little bit of Plato. Who was
mhm.
the Plato, and what is his relation to Socrates and to the Pythagoras, which we discussed before?
Um, Yeah, so Plato was he was a descendant from a very, very rich family, aristocratic family, received nice education. Later on, of course, he was young and he lived at the time also with um, when Socrates already was giving lessons and he became his pupil. Also, we know that Plato was he was a boxer. I don't know if you need this information, but it's so he had a very, big body, and he was quite physically fit. Let's call it this way.
I know that he was
And
also like a champion of some, I don't remember, either boxing
boxing. He
or
was
like
yeah, or
wrestling
like
or
this
something like that.
wrestling, boxing, something we can call it there. Yeah, and um, so we also know again from the dialogues that Plato was not at this final meeting with his friends, with Socrates. He was not there. He had to do something else, and um, and of course he was very impacted. He was still young at the time. He was very impacted by this by the death of his great teacher. Later on, he would try to establish his own school, to implement his ideas of republic in Sicily. It's also very interesting, yeah. And he went to this Dionysius, trying to convince him to not convince him. He actually was invited by him because his works already spread quite and among the circles of higher society, and he was read. He had quite a lot of fame, and he was invited there. And looks like there is actually letters. We don't know if these letters are. I also recommend to read these letters. We don't know if these letters actually are true or they are apocryph, but something went wrong there. The guy, because in Republic he says that one of the things to establish the great monarchy, the best type of government, it's when the person, we can call him tyrant or monarch, understands that he has to change, and there is a philosopher who can help him.
Mm-hmm.
Mamma Mia, here is Dionysus, and here you have Plato together. So beautiful combination. You can try to do it. No, unfortunately, he was kept a prisoner for some time, and then he was also sold as a slave, and his pupils had to, to buy him out. Then he came back to Athens, established first academy, first university in Western culture, which actually perpetuated, I think, almost until almost like 300 years. It was still in, generation by generation,
Mm-hmm.
his teachings were passed. And again, in his teaching, the most important part was conversations with teacher. The same is we can see it I think in Hinduism, we can see it in any kind of religion. The same we can see with Jesus and his disciples. All this higher information was given from person to person.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
just in brief to tell about his life. Yeah, what we
mhm.
know. At least what I know. Yeah,
Is
probably.
there any relation? I think the Plato was also studying in the Academy of Pythagoras, or he was studying in Egypt. I don't remember.
This I know that there was Philolai. Philolai, this is one of the he was one of the pupils of the Pythagorean schools, and this
Hmm.
Philolai appears in different dialogues. I think also in Phaedon.
Hmm.
And Plato used quite a lot of ideas from the Pythagoras. Yeah, let's say, for example, in Republic, he used a lot of the idea of music.
Hmm.
He says that playing at the time an arfa and just trying to, let's say, we will call it nowadays improvise without the structured idea what is talking, what is in note, we know of this. You
Hmm.
remember last time you showed it a nice picture of
Yeah.
this, yeah, ratios musical. Um, so also the idea of number, the idea of reincarnation as well, yeah, of the anamnesis, which is also one of the pillars of his philosophy. I guess is also was taken from the teachings of Pythagoras. In some way, I think that it is a continuation. It's just like mathematics. Each generation brings something new, and
Hmm.
we can call it one big Western. Greek Western philosophy, I don't know. Yeah.
So, and just I think let's, because I know there are many of the ideas of Plato and we can
Yes.
talk forever, but some which are the most, let's say, famous, I would say, like an
Mhm.
Eidos. So
Yes.
maybe we can discuss now as well.
So, what is eidos? Um, I would refer if you want to start because the ideas are they're a little bit like haphazard. You cannot just take a book and start eidos definition and then slowly go down. No, you have one dialogue in one part it's mentioned something about that, then in another dialogue that, and then you can slowly when you read all of them you can for yourself because even if you read Wikipedia you would not get it. As I say, the dialogues are written in such way that when you really read the dialogue and one by one you start getting this secret knowledge. I guess so. I feel
Mm.
I'm feeling so Plato divided the world into there was a dichotomy: the world which we can see and the abstract world. So the world which we can see, which we can touch, this is a world of let's say it's a lower level of reality. The
Mhm.
higher level of reality, the most real, is the abstract level. It means that something which we can see with the eyes of our soul, of our reason. And of course, here we have this eidusis. Eidus, this is um, difficult to explain because I don't understand myself nicely, but it's like a, nowadays we will call it a computer program.
Mhm.
Um, it's a perfect ideal. That's why actually the Plato philosophy is called the idealistic philosophy. Yeah, because it goes with these ideas, eidoses, that you have something perfect, something completely like model of me or the model of higher level of beauty, and all other things are just copies of this beauty. So if you see a beautiful woman on the street, it means that herself, her identity, her yeah, as a being, she only participates. A funny word, participates. So how participates? It's a funny question again. Of this eidos.
Mhm.
Then you come back to this difficult dialogues as Parmenides. Then they start asking, okay, how this thing actually participates? Is it participating? If this eidos is in every beautiful woman, or they all of them are like, and he gives a nice also metaphor that you have like a big piece of cloth, a beautiful cloth, let's say red color, and each woman touches by a finger of this cloth, yeah, and this cloth is an eidos, and each of them are participating by this, by touching it or some. I mean, let's say more material
Mm.
metaphor, yeah. Or each woman has this eidos inside herself, somewhere in her heart or in her, in her soul. But then again, if she is in, if then we can go back to funny philosophical ideas. So if every woman has this part of the eidos, then means eidos is different. Not different. It can be divided. But you have just mentioned that it's not divided. It's one part of this story, yeah. Another part, how eidos can be interacting within themselves. It means that can life be interacting with death because there is an eidos of death and there is an eidos of life, and this is one of the arguments which proves that the soul is immortal. The final argument, because soul participates with of the eidos of life. So it cannot, and these eidos of life and death, they are not compatible. So, because that's why soul cannot die, because soul is a part of this life ethos, yeah. And yeah, so you see, it's a lot of difficulties which Plato was aware of, and which he tried to give us a glimpse of this. This I think this is how actually was normal day in in this academy. Okay, let's talk about what kind of how this aids of uh, justice how he can behave himself with the aids of beauty. Yeah, because or the highest aids is the aids of goodness. Every either other, so there is a, we can see that there is a hierarchy of eiduses. There is interactions between eiduses. One eidus can accept the other, another cannot accept the other. They have also the genus and the species structure. Yeah, so there is a genus of goodness, then from goodness you have beauty, justice, you have let's say bravery, and so on.
Hmm.
It's a complete cosmogony. It was a revolution, I would call it, because before you had Zeus and friends and lovers and so on, and then and then the guy who says about something completely outside of it's. I mean, if some of our listeners know about programming, yeah, imagine ADOS as a class in the programming. You can have a class of some object. That's why it's called this computer oriented programming language, yeah? OOP. It's the same ADOS. So you creating a class of goodness, and then you create 3,000 different objects with different qualities. You can add some functions inside and so on. But yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
with
would
the
also. Uh-huh.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would also, first of all, like what you said about the computer program, and another example I wanna mention, at least how I understand this. This is the quantum physics. We have the concept of holographic universe, which is quite new, and I think it was at the end of the 20th century was proposed. And the thing is, from this concept, it was after the Einstein like general relativity, and it like reconcile many concepts in quantum physics. But the main point is that from the holographic theory, the information is primary to the space and matter. So it's like it's kind of the information is recorded somewhere where we don't know. Like there are some kind of crazy theories, but I think it's not like relevant. It's like the point is that the information is primary to the our visible world of matter moving through the time.
Yeah.
And from the Vedic philosophy, there is also one similar concept, which is called Akasha, which is translated like ether. And like from the Vedic cosmogony, So the Akasha is like the first manifestation of the goddess Shakti. Shakti is like primordial energy, and like Akasha is ether, so it's not let's say physical element, but this is like a subtle element from which all other elements arise, and which and this for like other elements which arise from ether. These are the elements from which our like material world consists. So like an Akasha is like let's say the space or the womb of all the physical manifestations.
Yeah, you see that. It's always I think an antagony between at least they try to, at least I feel it this that between the spiritual world and material world, yeah, that where you should give more where you should direct yourself, navigate yourself more in the spiritual world, but then you would miss something in the material world, yeah. The same was actually was one of the jokes also which were which was yeah, directed against Socrates. That one woman told him, yeah, that you are going around and looking all the stars, so the Hades is there on the sky, and then you don't see a hole below your legs, and you just fall into this down there. So um, it's a good question because. That's, I think, in Republic and in many of his dialogues, Plato trying to show you that I would try to at least answer the question how it's possible to reconcile, as you mentioned these things. Yeah, how to. I don't know if it's possible. And I think this is a question which we live every day in our lives. That's yeah.
I think, yeah, like if we speak about this duality, like first of all, is our way of our mind to look upon things like in dichotomy and duality. But yeah, I think like the reconciliation and the unity, it comes from the experience of life, would say. For me, like studying the Vedic philosophy and tantric philosophy, like eventually, like I would say that everything is unity, and the problem arises which we when we attribute like one aspect of life like higher value than another, but in fact the one like yin yang they coexist, and one emerge from another, and one contains another. But this is again, this is maybe more Chinese way of looking into things. But again, when you said that, interesting that the Eiduses also interact with one another, which this is actually also remind me of the concept of qi, because from the Chinese point of view, um, so we like to think that the change is external, like from like the Newton, yeah. So one object like has a force which influences another object, but for Chinese, change is always like contained within the chi, and one chi interacts with another by resonance, but the seed of change, like in you, let's say if you're sick, you have the seed of health inside you, and like the proper resonance, let's say your thoughts about the health, they like create this moment of change. So everything is always so there is no concept of God, like creator in Chinese. There is just always change. Like the change is the only constant of life, let's say, and the things they always in the flux. And like when you were saying about life and death, so this is like a transition from one let's say aspect into the another.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's all the time. You see, anyway, I think that everything comes to later on, I think, to death. Yeah, these questions they try to. to unveil what is
Mm-hmm.
because there was nobody who actually comes and told us, ah, okay, this is what happened there, you know, and so on. Uh, there are some clinical deaths. There are some evidences which give us some glimpses, but yeah, are they true sports here or
Mm-hmm.
not? Because then you get I think this idea of uh, yeah of the end also gives you it's like marks some kind of period. What have I done? Or also trying tries to put a little bit more energy in your actions or
Mm-hmm.
thoughtfulness in your life because
I think when we start thinking about death, we can start valuing our life eventually as well.
yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, it would not have. It's a funny thing, yeah, because all of us are going to die, and we don't think
Yeah,
about it too much.
yeah,
We
and
try to,
we
yeah,
think that we're gonna live forever, and that our like moments of depressions and like I don't know what I want to do and like other stuff, they can do it forever, but we can just go for a walk and enjoy.
yeah, and enjoy.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. And funny thing also, yeah, that the same thing when we go to sleep, it's also a small death
yeah.
because you forget about yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dream is like an
yeah,
it's like also very, I think, mystical topic where very
yeah,
few people could agree upon what actually is going on.
exactly. Yeah, and what I want to say, it's not so painful, huh? You go to sleep, normal.
Yeah, yeah. In context of dying, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not painful and even pleasant, I would say.
yeah. So um,
Okay, the last maybe question which I want to discuss about Plato is the his idea of anamnesis, which I think, for me at least, it resonates most of all from his teachings. So, can you tell maybe what is it?
mhm. No, anamnesis. It's a concept that whatever we know, well, I don't know, me, myself, anybody, all the humanity, all this knowledge does not. We have not invented it. All this knowledge, we knew it before. So, and there is also, and very I also invite to read this dialogue, Feder, where he gives also a very nice myth,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful myth, marvelous, which also gives us a little bit more light about his theory of immortality of soul. So what means
Mm-hmm.
it's one of also one of the proofs of the immortality of soul. And he starts it quite easily. So he shows us, okay, he takes a slave, a slave boy, and which has never studied anything in his life, and by asking him proper questions, he shows that the boy has arrived to a conclusion of diagonal of of the square that it is that the value this Pythagoras theorem.
Mm-hmm.
So idea behind it what? Asking proper questions, you can arrive at any kind of answer because all knowledge is already available in yourself. Because you have known this knowledge, you cannot study this, you cannot receive this during your this mortal life. For example, we know the idea of equality, eidos of equality. Yeah, there are not such things in the world, even on the atomical level, which are completely equal. Some differences are always. Even if you create two equal iPhones, they have different screensavers. Yeah. So, but we have idea of equality somehow, abstract idea.
Mm-hmm.
Example of eidosis. Where did we learn about it? We could not learn it here because we cannot see it here in this life. We should have learned it before in when we were not still born.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gives a nice this myth that when we are in this infra world, um, beyond this world. So our souls are flying on the sky together with gods. And if each of us has a inclination to some kind of art, yeah, or science, so he chooses a proper god with himself. For example, Nikita flies with Athens, for example, yeah. Another guy or woman flies with another one, and he shows him this god shows him this proper eiduses, let's say
Mm-hmm.
of justice, and they are together studying there on the sky. Uh, and then comes another nice myth. Each soul is represented as a carriage, which is driven by two horses. One horse is black horse, another horse is a white horse. And our reason or soul is, this is a rider of this carriage, yeah, or this, how is the proper word? Yeah, yeah. So this black horse, it's our passions. And this black horse wants to all the time bites this white horse and tries to do all kind of this funny things. And so finally, if the soul cannot govern her passions, she loses the way of her God, starts tumbling around in the space, and falls down on
Mm-hmm.
the earth, and then this reincarnation starts. And good morning, Mr. Anderson, yeah. And but another quite interesting thing, that if you find your soulmate, and he also explains it very nice, that another person sees in your soul that it has wings,
Mm-hmm.
and the other person also sees wings in the beloved person. Together in their love, these wings start growing. They're growing, and they have their own, these wings become beautiful, like almost like angels. And so the gods say, "Ah, okay, these people, this very nice, because this is a big power of love.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shortcut. So you can, because according to you know, Plato's instructions, you need to be reincarnated 3 times as a philosopher, and then later on you can go back to the Aedusins themselves, and become united with the source. We'll go this way, yeah. So it's quite a lot, yeah, because you reincarnate almost every 10,000 years, quite a lot of time, yeah. So not even we people know here. And then you can reincarnate in any other creatures, if you depends how you spend your life. But if you have found your soulmate and you are living together, and these wings are growing, you have a shortcut. You can be only reincarnated only once. It's enough. So so look for your soulmate, and yeah, it's advice for today, I think. So
Yeah, I think.
analysis,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. Just to finish, analysis is exactly this one. That's all knowledge is already available to you. All, as you mentioned with this just a couple of minutes ago about this what was that science you told me, this physics,
Holographic theory.
holographic theory. Thank you very much. And that there is some kind of information where everything is saved. So this is some exactly as Plato says, somewhere something is saved. It's always available to you. Whenever you prove the mathematical theorem or recite a very nice poem, you come back to the source and just take it from there. And yeah, and then he uses also it as a proof of the immortality of the soul, because there is no other option where you can learn all of these funny things in the real world. You cannot learn about holographic theory you cannot touch it. Yeah, it's not a physical thing. No, you can have an experiment, but the theory comes behind is always something abstract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I like that explanation about the soul and about the immortality. I actually didn't think of this that way. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have like many ideas actually, which we can discuss next. And
Yes.
this was very inspiring for me, I would say,
For me as
recording
well.
this video. So thank you
Yeah.
for the
Thank you very
talk.
much. Thank you for a fruitful conversation. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Until the next time.
Yeah, and until the next time.